So there was a debate between Dr. Cornel West and Norman Finkelstein. Finkelstein, there you go. Whether the starvation, the genocide that we are seeing in Gaza, they have a little bit of debate about it. So I think it's only fair that we do pull it up. It's only 9 minutes and 48 seconds, which is one part of this debate. Everyone, let's respect each other's opinions. I know there's a lot of opinions about Dr. Cornel West and Norman himself, but listen very carefully. I'll be giving in my 2 cents very soon.
So if you look at the public opinion polls in Israel, Israel is probably the most polled place on God's earth. If you look at the public opinion polls, about 1/2 of Israeli Jews believe that the IDF, the Israel Defense Forces, should commit genocide in Gaza. That's not an exaggeration. The question that was put to Israelis was very concrete and succinct. When the IDF enters a city, should it kill every single person in the city? 47% of Israeli Jews said yes to that question. Another question was, do you believe there are any innocents in Gaza? Any innocents? It was asked of Israelis across the board, including non-Jewish Israelis. 62% said there are no innocents in Gaza. If you factor away the non-Jewish respondents, it would come to about 70%. If you turn to Gaza now, Israel, for better or for worse, it has a citizen army. That means that army is representative of Israeli society. That army is carrying out a genocide. Every member of that army, EVERY, every member of that army is complicit in genocide. If it's not, as doctors have attested, if it's not targeting the skulls and chests of children, if it's not bombing the hospitals, bombing the schools, bombing any infrastructure in Gaza, the water and sanitation facilities, then they're involved in the systematic, methodical starvation, verging on famine of the people of Gaza. Now, when students, or I should say, when IDF soldiers come after their stint in the army to Harvard campus, or there are Jews who are publicly defending a real-time genocide broadcast across the social media to the point that even I, who professionally ought to be following it, I have stopped reading it. One nauseating story after another, one sickening story of genocidal murderers in plain sight. Now, I heard one or both of you say, of course, everyone should feel at home at Harvard. I say no. They should be shunned. They should be ostracized. If they're there, I suppose they have a right to be there. But this notion that we need, and Nadine will confirm, I suppose for me, The bulk of the report's recommendations are we must be inclusive. We must be pluralistic. We must embrace everyone. And I know Brother West. He embraces everybody. When he says Brother Sharpton, I cringe.
Yes, we all know, and especially how he even Cornel West went to bat for the Democrats and his horrible campaign in 2024 running as an independent. I don't know what else to say about that campaign except it was a waste of time. I also want to pull this up here before we continue on for the rest of that video. Right now, 600 plus journalists renew a call to let foreign press enter Gaza as now, and we probably even saw this on Due Dissidence Show, the Jimmy Dore Show, RBN, and a few other independent media networks across the political spectrum, that there seems to be, but there's now full-on talk of the full annexation of Gaza. Now, before I read this article about the press, or at least journalists requesting to come in, when October 7th took place in 2023, and as the Biden-Harris administration, and yes, I am going to put full blame on the Biden-Harris administration on this one. The Democrats had all the chances in the world, Biden, Kamala, AOC, Bernie, to stop this. Only now how convenient that Democrats are now calling this a genocide or calling this a war or whatever they want to call it. It's all an act. Those fake crocodile tears are not convincing me. They could have stopped this. All of this could have been stopped. Really, in all truth, in all reality. Biden and the Democrats could have stopped it. But we find out later that obviously, because first of all, we learned from a documentary that Biden was indifferent. Well, probably not. Biden wasn't indifferent. He just didn't know what was going on because his brain is melted. Alzheimer's and dementia. Hey, vote blue no matter who. Are we ever going to get that apology? No, probably not. Probably not. All those times of being censored and suppressed, are we going to get an apology? No. And we got a great story about censorship and suppression coming up soon. That's going to probably get all of you very, very angry. So please, everyone, share this video. And don't forget to comment, because that what counts as a full view now. Comment, like, share, and put in some watch time for this video. But the Democrats could have stopped this. And as soon as the whole year of 2024 was starting all the way to its end, on December 31st, 2024, with all the stories happening, all the protests, everything else, I think it's undeniable. And now with the Trump administration coming to office, that there was going to be a full annexation of Gaza. I mean, we saw it with Piers Morgan. Bassem Youssef was saying, yeah, this is going to happen. You know, that this is what's going to happen. There was a lot of people saying that this was going to happen. Full-on annexation. I mean, you even have Trump, the audacity of his administration, talking about turning Gaza into the Riviera of the Middle East. If that isn't a dead giveaway, plus there's oil found near the coastline of Gaza. I mean, as much as we may hope for protests to work, this is in the 1960s, and asking our politicians to have political courage is another thing altogether. This was unfortunately a foregone conclusion, and this is going to be something that we are going to be learning about for a very long time as the fallout continues. I want to be positive here, but this is where we are at. So let's go ahead and pull up this article here. It's from Common Dreams. As Israel prepares for a full occupation of Gaza, foreign journalists have renewed calls to be allowed to enter the besieged strip. More than 600 journalists and media organizations have signed a petition released Monday by Freedom to Report, demanding immediate, unsupervised foreign press access to Gaza, which they said is the worst press blackout in modern conflict. This is not a call to be heard, said renowned war photographer Andre Leon, FTR's founder. We demand that independent professional journalists be allowed into Gaza. What's happening today is not only a humanitarian blackout, but also information blackout, and it must end. Among the signatories are journalists from several of the world's largest news organizations, including CNN, ABC, The Guardian, Channel 4, Sky News. So all of big media, with many of these organizations also signing similar joint statements. Top names in the news media, including CNN anchors Anderson Cooper, oh, better late than never, huh? And Christian Amanpour. Channel 4 international editor Lindsay Hilsum and Zito founder Mehdi Hassan have also signed on the report. Mehdi Hassan, who was once with MSNBC, BSDNC. Since Israel began its assault on Gaza in October 2023, its military has closed off access from outside journalists seeking to independently observe the conflict. The few who have been granted access from outlets like the Associated Press or the BBC have been taken on heavily manicured tours led by the Israeli military without freedom of movement, as the Times of Israel reported. These visits are typically brief, highly curated, prohibit any free interaction with Palestinian civilians, drawing criticism from press advocates who argue they fall short of true journalistic independence. As of April, at least 232 journalists have been killed in Gaza since the military onslaught began, 13 per month on average. More journalists have died in Gaza than in both world wars, the Vietnam War, the wars in Yugoslavia, and the war in the United States war in Afghanistan combined. Jesus Christ. So what's the takeaway? Well, we'll continue on with the rest of this debate.
But he does it even though Brother Sharpton has stabbed him many a time in the back. But I say they ought to be shunned. You ought not to be inclusive of child killers. I'm asking you, Cornell, do you feel that those students are obliged to be inclusive of child killers? I'm curious, because I know you're very inclusive. Maybe your tent stretches from here to the other side of the galaxy. Do you believe that they should be inclusive of child killers?
Yeah,
Cameras are homing in
that's
on
a hell of a way of characterizing it, though, because you see, part of the problem here, brother, is that, the history of religions, which has been for the most part the history of barbarism in terms of institutional religions, they have
Get ready for the word salad from Cornel West, who will not help out his case at all. Prepare yourself.
specialized in shunning people. And once you begin to shun, then the next step is dehumanization, subjugation, and you're just redoing the same cycle that you yourself were resisting from the very beginning. On the other hand, and here this is where, now see, and he did not, we have such great respect and love for you, brother, but we don't agree on everything. Is that right, though, babe? We don't agree on everything. Because different strokes for different strokes, not in the superficial sense. Sly Stone just died. That ain't no joke. That was at the dignity of everyday people. You a different kind of brother than I am. I don't have to make you like me. You the kind of brother who have courage, intellect, unbelievable commitment to truth, and believes in shunning. I'm a different kind of brother. Shunning people who are connected with killing babies.
I don't believe in shunning as if it were
No,
a
it
political
connected to-
principle. It's a visceral reaction.
Yes.
There's something revolting about, as Harvard kept writing, to be inclusive of child killers. I find that just an utterly revolting concept,
but
isn't it?
But we just different kind of brothers.
You-
Man. We
all
got
right,
different
I'm
kind of
fine.
temperaments, man.
I'm
I
gonna ask
don't
you-
believe in just.
look, Cornell,
look at it this
I'm
way.
gonna ask
Look at
you-
it
no,
this
Cornell,
way.
would you corrupt?
If
Would
we
you?
shunned
1 second.
every American who supported the extermination of indigenous peoples, there's not a whole lot of folk left in the
Okay,
history.
Cornell,
Okay. Boy, Cornell. Holy cow, buddy. Native American community's got some words for you. This is not a good look for Cornell West, says Wendy Carvalho. I wish I could pull up the chat. I'm so sorry I screwed it up on that part. I'll be sure to be more professional with StreamYard later on. But let me just be clear on this one here, folks. My goodness gracious, Cretaceous. Holy cow. When we look back at all the horrific war crimes that has happened throughout antiquity and in modern conflicts, Cornell, you have done yourself no favors. I regret any positivity I ever said about your independent run in 2024, be it running in the Green Party or the People's Party or as your own independent candidate. I don't know. I don't know what else to say that won't be said already. But I do know this. Wait till RBN gets a hold of you, Jimmy Dore, and everybody else. I know we got a couple people from our independent media community that tune in to watch Hard Lens Media as they're getting ready to do the work. And I'm pretty sure many of them are probably punching the wall or saying WTF. Here, we're going to rewind this again with what Cornel West is saying.
It's a visceral reaction.
Yes.
There's something revolting about, and as Harvard kept writing, to be inclusive of child killers. I find that just an utterly revolting concept,
but
isn't it?
But we just different kind of brothers.
You-
Man. We got different kind of
fine.
temperaments, man.
I'm
I don't
gonna ask
believe
you-
in just.
look, Cornell,
Look at it this
I'm
way.
gonna ask
Look at it
you- no,
this
Cornell,
way.
Would you corrupt?
If we shunned
One second.
every American who supported the extermination of indigenous peoples, there's not a whole lot of folk left in the history
Cornell,
of the television.
fine.
If we shun
No, but we
the
could-
majority of Americans who
No,
supported the
this-
enslavement of
this
black
is-
people, the lynching of black
this
people,
is a-
Jim Crow and Drain Crow, who's left? Well, you got
This-
some Mormons, I mean, you got some Quakers and some Mennonites and so forth around. Then you got the secular Jews in Brooklyn who
sorry.
come in with this
This
rich
is-
tradition and want to go to the back of the bus on the Jim Crow bus when all the black folk are
This-
there and the Goyim is
okay.
in the front. That's a small group.
No, this is a rhetorical evasion.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
I'm speaking
Cornell,
directly
Cornell,
to your question. I'm
would you-
just not agreeing
Would
with
you
you.
cavort and carouse? Because these students are complaining. They don't invite us to their parties. That's what they say. They don't invite us to our parties. They don't want us in our groups. They don't want to associate with us.
That's microsocial. That's microsocial activity.
Would
though,
you
brother.
cavort?
We know that's not
Yeah,
the
but that's-
issue.
yeah,
That's
but
not the
Cor-
crucial issue.
No,
The
but
question is,
Cor-
how do you stop the killing of Palestinian children
Yeah,
and
but-
innocent folks?
fine,
And how do you
I'm
become
all-
organized and mobilized enough
No.
to bring power and pressure to bear? It's not whether they get invited to some party after somebody's
Yep.
Hillel meeting and so.
Hold on, just want to read the super chat here. Eric Cruz, who tipped $2. Cornel West, brother Epstein must feel inclusive. Oh, Eric, that's super chat. Why? That hurts to read.
That's microsocial activity.
Would
though,
you
brother.
cavort?
We know that's not
Yeah,
the
but that's-
issue.
yeah,
That's
but
not the
Cor-
crucial issue.
No,
The
but
question
Cor-
is, how do you stop the killing of Palestinian children
Yeah,
and
but-
innocent folks?
fine,
And how do you
I'm
become
all-
organized and mobilized enough to
No.
bring power and pressure to bear? It's not whether they get invited to some party after somebody's
Yep.
Hillel meeting and so forth and so on. No, we're not going
Would you-
to spend time
would you
on that.
Would you cavort and carouse with a child killer? I'm curious. I don't think that's a trivial question.
No,
You wouldn't.
no. That's my new
You would shun them, correct?
I would do more than shun, brother. I'd probably cuss them out and lose my Holy Ghost and kick their behind in the name of Jesus. But the point is, that's not normative. That's not the only model that I want everybody to proceed. I got my own way of being in the world. I'm a jazz man, got my own voice. This is how I decide to live my life. I want to love my way through the darkness. I don't believe in shunning, even given the crimes that people commit. If you got a different view, that's cool. I'm with you. We in the same demonstrations. We go to jail together, and we have fascinating conversations on child killers and how do you respond to child killers. That's all.
That is not an answer. That is not a freaking answer at all. Holy cow. All right. So we all heard it. Look, I could have kept on pausing, interrupting, but I wanted to play in its full entirety because everyone needed to hear it. And I think it would not be fair to you, the audience. So what's the takeaway? What's the feeling? How are you feeling? How are you doing? Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the feelings of inadequacy right now. And I know my statement earlier about Gaza being occupied and annexed. Well, not only yesterday, but the day before yesterday, there was talk about Israel doing full-on annexation. Now, let's be clear here. We all know that Netanyahu was having domestic issues at home. And what better way to distract people than have a wag the dog kind of moment? But now there's a cost to it, a human cost to it, as this war not only exceeded past Gaza, but it went to Yemen, Lebanon, Syria, the back and forth between Iran. And there was a recent video that came out where Trump is now even saying again, oh no, Iran's going to have a nuke. Again? There will be no peace in the Middle East, unfortunately. And with milk toast, as Dr. Cornel West says, people like him around, nothing's ever going to get solved. Because, again, if people actually stepped up, really challenged the Democrats, if people were not stuck in the vote blue no matter who mindset, things would be different right now. I am going to say this as myself. In my opinion, in my own personal opinion, the blame starts truly with the Biden-Harris administration. Now, I know this conflict's been going on for decades, but I mean, let's talk about this conflict, this one in particular. This all could have been avoided. This all could have been stopped from the get-go. I blame the Biden-Harris administration for what we are witnessing now under the Trump administration. Their inaction, their obedience, the vote blue no matter who industrial complex because they got Trump derangement syndrome. I mean, after all that crap, vote blue no matter who, we got Trump in office, and now, oh, Riviera in the Middle East. It's going to be built on the dead. All this could have been avoided. All this could have been ended. There could have been some kind of peace happening. But you know what? That's not going to happen. And now guess what? There's going to be a price to be paid for all the civilians, all the people, and all the generations. There will be no peace in our time. And of course, you know, you have Cornel West saying, I want to love my way through everything. Well, geez, sometimes you can't love your way through everything, okay? Look, I don't know. I could subscribe to the theory of peace. Believe you me, I am a man of peace. But there are times where you got to pick up that sword and shield and be like, all right, it's time to fight. Can't love everybody. Hey, folks, would you love somebody from the Third Reich? Sorry for the pause. I'm just thinking just overall just what the final conclusion is. And the final conclusion is there's going to be a full-on occupation of Gaza. Bassem Youssef with his interview with Piers Morgan, and of course his other interview with I think was Christiane Amanpour. Yeah, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. It's going to happen. I mean, what, a protest now? I mean, we remember the No Kings March, right? There's a reason why I didn't cover it, because I got sick to my stomach, and that's just my own personal thing. I just looked at it and I think, where were all you people? You know what I didn't notice? I didn't notice anything about the war in Ukraine or the war in Gaza. I just saw everybody just like, oh, Trump, to-wump. It's all for show. And the activist community, you know, I saw Due Dissidents talk about, and a little bit off topic, was DSA and the Zohar Mandani campaign. And I got to tell you, you know, I'm not expecting much from the activist community. There's only a very few people, the dauntless few, that actually get the bigger picture. The rest of them are just there to LARP, to feel good, and for hopium, copium, propranium, titanium, okay? That's all it is. Meanwhile, the dead are looking at us shocked that this has been allowed to happen. So I'll leave it here, folks. Democracy in the chat, because I'm going to clip this video segment. And hey, a comment also adds into a view. So type in your comments. Who do you side with in that conversation between Dr. Cornel West and Norman? Type 1 for Norman. Type 2 for Cornel West. No such thing as a wrong response. Please let it be nice and polite if YouTube will allow you to type it in the comment section. And folks, it's going to get worse before it gets better.